SportsOnTapPodcast.com, the place to go where you can listen to past shows, read featured articles, check out all of our social media updates, plus much, much more. SportsOnTapPodcast.com, the official website of Sports on Tap.
For up-to-the-minute info on local high school sports action, including photos, videos, and live updates, be sure to follow Sports on Tap on Twitter, Instagram, and like us on Facebook.
Why do you exercise? To look better? To feel better? To drop a few pounds? To train for an event? To defy age? Or to keep your ability to say yes to the things you love to do? Whatever motivates you, G&G Fitness Equipment is here to get you there. Treadmills, ellipticals, rollers, bikes, home gyms, and accessories. We'll pair you with the right equipment, teach you how to use it, and be there every step of your fitness journey. G&G Fitness. Your goal is our goal.
RRT Productions, specializing in creating sports recruiting videos for all high school athletes. Want to play at the next level? Promote your talents with a video to send colleges. Affordable, experienced, and a high-quality video. Make us your local video production company. Visit our website, rrt-productions.com, and contact us today. RRT Productions, we shoot, we edit, you win.
This is the voice of the Cleveland Monsters, Tony Brown, and you're listening to Sports on Tap.
You're listening to Sports on Tap, presented by RRT Productions. Here are your hosts, Rob Troutman, Josh Jeffy, Ed Dick, and Sean Duffy.
And welcome out, everyone, to Z's Cream and Bean. It's Sports on Tap's 2019 Ohio High School Football Preview Show. Guys, welcome back as we're here at Z's Cream and Bean in Hinckley, Ohio, and it's jam-packed in here right now.
It is.
It's jam-packed because we're on the precipice. We're on the precipice. We're staring in to the face of a brand new high school football season in Northeast Ohio. Can you smell it?
Can you dig it?
Can you feel it?
Well,
Rob, can you get it off of your shoe? No, you cannot. It is stuck to you like glue.
We say it every year when it comes to this time. Hard to believe it's here already, but we're going to be doing this now once a week for the next 3 months.
Settle in.
Until the end of November, when we crown a state champion in all 7 divisions of Ohio high school football.
Wait, we're doing it till the end of November?
Yeah,
Interesting. Interesting. I'm sorry, we never went to the end of November when I played high school football. It's usually mid-November.
I see what you did
We would
there.
get bounced. I didn't know it went past mid-November. Some teams don't know that either. So,
well, it's great to be back. I'm Rob Troutman. We have Josh Jeffy, Sean Duffy, Ed Dick out on assignment tonight. If you want to follow us, we're sportsontappodcast.com is our website. We're at SOT Podcast on Twitter. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. If you want to go back and listen to any of our broadcasts or interviews throughout the year, you could go to our YouTube page, and it's just Sports on Tap. Go there and listen to a lot of our interviews with players, coaches, our recaps, which we do usually every Monday night. But this coming up week, since it's Labor Day on Monday, we will be doing that on Tuesday night instead of Monday. But, guys, it's great to be back here at Z's, and a great show ahead as we have a few coaches coming in. Not sure about the player situation, but I can tell you at 8:05 Head coach of the North Ridgeville Rangers, Coach Luke Durbin, will be coming in to Z's here to talk a little North Ridgeville Ranger football in the Southwestern Conference. And then at 8:30, a friend of the show, and actually Coach Durbin is too, but John Hunick, the head coach of the Berea Mid-Park Titans, will also join us at 8:30 to talk a little Titans football as he looks to get back into the Southwestern Conference play after one game of non-conference schedule. You know, they're right back into the thick of it, and what a year it was for them. They had a very good year. It was kind of up and down a little bit.
Yeah.
But interested to talk to him and see who they have coming back.
Well, I'll tell you,
offensively.
it's going to be interesting, not only offensively, but, I mean, they put up points last year.
Oh, they put up a ton of points.
Just, I mean, out of control. We covered a game, and as the guy that has to write the recaps for those games, I was not a fan of it. Because there's a lot of long-winded names, and they kept scoring touchdowns.
Oh, I know.
Definitely.
Those games, man, you write a novel for because of all the scoring.
I have to.
You have to keep up.
You guys got to start paying me by the word.
But also,
or paying me, period.
But go to our website, sportsontappodcast.com. We'll have an interview also that's up right now is the defensive coordinator of the Olmsted Falls Bulldogs. Rob Pace joined us as he talked a little Bulldogs football, and he covered some players they lost last year, players to watch this year. And also we had a chance to talk to coach of the Brunswick Blue Devils, Mark Pinzoni. So we'll get that up on the website so you can hear that interview as he talks about, Brunswick had a one-win season last year, but continues to see growth. Even though it was only a one-win season, he's very optimistic and looks forward to this season, and got some really nice players coming back and some young players he hopes will come through this season. And he kind of went through, the Greater Cleveland Conference and went through that. So it's a good listen there.
Yeah, and I think, it would behoove us, this is our ramp-up show, our quote-unquote preview show, to kind of go over how this is going to work this year in high school football, at least as far as your boys here, Sports on Tap, are concerned. Right. We are going to continue our ongoing coverage of the GCC and the Southwestern Conference, as well as the Suburban, National, and American Division. But we're also throwing in the newest conference that brings a lot of local teams into the mix here, the Great Lakes Conference. And that is a conference that does now include, Rob, get this, a automatic Buckeye recap.
Oh, man.
So that means we'll never forget. So
Well, we'll try. Well, we have no reason
never say
to
never
forget.
On Sports on Tap.
He may forget that we did it, but again, it's because Rob works very hard behind the scenes. Him and Josh are our executive producer. I don't do a lot. I'm mostly just the guy here. But so that's how it's going to work. So the way it's going to kind of work is Josh, as always, Josh is going to lead us off with the Greater Cleveland Conference. Then Robert is going to step in with the Southwestern Conference. Ed Dick is taking the reins of the new conference, the Great Lakes Conference, and yours truly is just taking on a big old bite of the media apple and taking on the Suburban League, both national and American division. So we'll be catching you up on all the latest action on Friday nights, interesting stat lines, things like that, naming players of the week, things like that, like we always do. But now we're adding another dimension to our repertoire, so to speak, about how we cover high school football in Northeast Ohio. So it's a pretty exciting time, and I guess the only thing to do is to do it. Is to kind of is to go over the GCC and what we see as some how about we call it the trends leading into the year?
Yeah, Josh,
let's do that.
Why don't you give us what's going on in the Greater Cleveland Conference?
30,000 feet above. What's the deal?
Well, we had some movement this offseason. We have a couple new coaches in line. O'Leary and Shaker both going in new directions this year. Exciting to see them. We're going to have an old coach, an old standby in his last season. Coach Trevisano Menor entering his final season with the Cardinals. But then you have teams like Brunswick. As Robbie mentioned, we do have an interview going up on our website later on tonight. We had an interview with Coach Pinzoni about his team. As you mentioned, Rob, coming off of a one-win season last year, but a lot of good positive vibes as they have some good young players coming up looking to take that next step and at what is a very tough conference. We already mentioned, Elyria. They had let's be honest here, a pretty bad season last year, 0-10, but they do start off the season with a new leader, Devlin Culliver. He's in his first season with the Pioneers. And they got a young team coming back, young, inexperienced, but in some situations that proves to be a good thing as they have good young talent. Euclid, one of the powerhouse teams of the GCC, still looking to continue with that. They are led by senior quarterback Dion Valentine, who we mentioned his name a lot last year, but also, they did lose some players. 19 graduated from that team last year. A handful of them actually went D1. But Euclid, Jeff Roski has a good, solid program, a good program of building players. So he's going to have some players coming in that will actually step up and take the lead for that team. Moving on, we're going to stay kind of in Medina County. Medina Bees, kind of a up and down season last year, finished 5-5. Larry Laird going into his third season with the Bees. Ryan Fisher was the quarterback last year. He transferred from St. Mary. He had some big games, but towards the end of the year, he did have some injury problems that kind of plagued the offense for Medina. And that was one thing, Medina, they had a lot of injury problems that kind of set them back. They were playing real good football up until those injuries started to settle in for them. 5 straight losses actually made the Bees miss the playoffs, but they look to redeem themselves this year. As we already mentioned, Menor, a 11-2 season last year, regional finalist in this one, did not end the season the way they wanted to. They were looking for a state championship, but in this year's team, that's what their goal is, set out to make it back and make a deep run into the state playoffs. They are led by senior receiver Luke Floria and also junior quarterback Ian Kipp. The thing about Menor, as I already mentioned, Coach Trevisano's last season, he's got a reputation of building young quarterbacks and starting quarterbacks early. Ian Kipp did it last year, so we'll see who that next young quarterback is for Menor as they continue on with a successful season. Alex Nicholson takes over for Shaker Heights. It's his first year. Shaker Heights started off good. They were my kind of a sleeper team in the GCC. Actually started off 5-1.
They do that a lot, it seems like. And then once you get in conference play, it's kind of up and down. But, they were pretty competitive last year. Yeah,
they were very competitive last year. And 2 years ago when I started talking about Shaker Heights, I was talked about, okay, you're winning your non-conference games. Now you got to start winning conference games. And 2 years ago, they weren't very successful doing that. Last year, they finally got some conference wins, so that's when it starts rolling. And then, you have the coaching change, and that, that changes philosophies. And you're going to have a new starter at the helm for the Red Raiders, Adam Diaz Jr., 5'10 sophomore. He takes over the offense. That was, at times, very high-powered last year. But new coach, new season. We'll see how things end up for the Red Raiders. The other powerhouse that's in the GCC, we got to talk about the Solon Comets. Last year finished 8-3, not exactly how they wanted to finish the game. They did make the playoffs. They're coached by Jim McQuaid, and they are actually led by junior quarterback Pat McQuaid, and these are some names that we mentioned a lot last year. Pat McQuaid, Khalil Eichelberger, still have trouble saying his name, but that's okay.
It's going to be a long season.
Yeah, new season, that's okay. But they get a big guy back on defense. Najee Story, 6'4", junior, 235 pounds, defensive end, tight end. He's looking to be a big part of that Comet defense. They're looking to keep up on the top. They're 3 non-conference games. I'm going to make this note. There are 3 non-conference games against Hudson, at Twinsburg, and at Stowe. So those are very tough non-conference games. And the upper echelon teams in the GCC usually schedule harder non-conference games. For example, Menor did it last year. They go for the big private schools first. They play at St. Edward's, and then they play at home versus St. Ignatius, and then they play a football team coming from the country up north in Canada, Mississauga, Ontario. But that's what some of these big-time teams in the GCC do. They schedule tough non-conference games in the beginning, and that really helps them, I believe, later on during conference. Finally, the Strongsville Mustangs, a pretty good year last year, 7-4. They did make the playoffs. Lou Sereno is in his third year. They graduated a lot of players, but Coach Sereno has done a good job bringing in his system, and he's, like I said, made the playoffs with the Mustangs for the first time. It's the first time in close to 10 years that the Strongsville Mustangs had made the playoffs. They did graduate a lot of players. Some went to Division I. That seems to be the norm for Mustangs. They always have some.
Their O-line always produces
exactly. I was just going to say that.
D1 athletes.
Yeah, the big guys up front do tend to get recruited to Division I. They're looking to build on last year's 7-4 record, and they look to be a prime-time player in the GCC this year.
Yeah, looking at the usuals, I mean, Strongsville is a team, I feel like, with Coach Sereno, who has continued to get better year in and year out. You see the Euclids, you see Menor, you see Solon. They continue to be at the top there. Is anybody going to unseat them, especially Coach Trevisano? I was a little surprised this is his last season, but, I mean, he's been involved in
23 years.
23 years. I mean, congratulations to him. He is, one of the premier coaches in the league. And what he does with those players, it's not only on the field. I mean, he cares about them off the field and growing them into men. And you see that. I mean, he's done a heck of a job. And you see it, too, in the weight room. I mean, they develop some big-time players there. And consistently, I mean, it is a big school. So they get a lot coming out towards their football program. But they just know how to develop the players. And every year they'll lose some, but they continue to get better. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Greater Cleveland Conference is going to unfold.
Yeah, I mean, that conference consistently every single year is one of the top, if not the top, in Northeast Ohio. I mean, I put it right up there with the Southwestern Conference and even the Suburban League. Obviously, we're covering them for a reason. I'll be interested to see how Brunswick plays this year. They got to be disappointed in last year, but we know Pinzoni's not a guy to really talk about that too much. Probably more so going to focus on the positives and bring that out. I also think it, as it always does, is going to come down to Menor and Solon, and who wins that game usually tends to go to win that particular conference. Now, I think you talked about Shaker Heights being your X factor, and I really think Euclid is the X factor every year, because sometimes they're good, sometimes usually they're very good, but they have trouble getting over that hump, and then by that I mean the Menors and the Solons of that conference. So is this the year that Euclid takes that step and enters that conversation? We think so. We hope so. They always they're never short on talent at Euclid, but it'll be fun to watch. And again, Medina's right there. I mean, what I love about the beginning of the season is there's so much unknown. You never know how kids are going to respond to summer workouts. Some kids, blossom under, get things quicker. So we could be talking about, we're reading the tea leaves here, just the idea of what we think is going to happen. But a lot of times things don't happen, things happen that we don't even expect. And that's the best thing about high school sports, especially high school football this time of year, is the surprises. Well,
now let's get into the Southwestern Conference. And we'll start off with Avon Eagles, who is led by Mike Elder in his 13th year. They went 12-2 last year. They're returning 12 returning starters, but one big loss was Ryan Malloy, the quarterback, and now Danny Zay is their senior quarterback this year. Nick Parasak, the running back, comes back. And they have a lot of returning players. This team always seems to regroup and get right back at it. Coach Elder does a great job developing his players as well. They were 12-2, 8-1 in the conference last year. I expect them to really push towards another title again. They're just so good until I see somebody knock them off, and it could be the first game of the season with Avon Lake. As Avon Lake we'll get into is led by Matt Kostelnik. He's the head coach in his second year. They went 10-2 last year, an 8-1 record in conference, and they returned 9 starters. But they're going to be led by Harry Hebert, as he's a quarterback, he's a kicker, and a linebacker there. So he does it all, apparently. I hope he's not going quarterback and linebacker. That'd be pretty tough. But
he said he's a kicker too, right?
Yeah, it says
he never leaves the field.
So yeah, he's there all the time. But they want to return and defend that Southwestern Conference title from 2018. And again, they have a lot of defensive players coming back, and also on offense. But again, they're going to have to replace some important pieces there. Let's see how they're going to step up and do. Now, the Amherst Comets, they're led by head coach Mike Passarella in his third year. They went 6-4, 5-4 in the Southwestern Conference. They returned 6 starters back, and they're going to be young but very talented. So we'll see what his team can bring to the table as they're going to be missing their running back, who was the workhorse.
He was the workhorse for
year.
all 4 years he was there. He played quarterback. Scagliazzo is a big
Kennedy
hole to fill.
Scagliazzo.
And you know what? That's the tough thing, and we see it, and I see that as kind of a common thread throughout all these conferences. Is we've been talking about these players, and maybe it's because we've been focusing on them for the last 3-4 years. But these are really prime-time players to steal something from Dickie V, and really they have left, and you wonder, has their play inspired or set the tone for younger players? They need to have another Scagliazzo, but they need somebody else to take the reins, because it can't just be him. And then we saw that in a couple games where you stopped Kennedy Scagliazzo and the Amherst offense did not go as far as they wanted to. And I think even the coach would say that it wasn't a secret on how to give Amherst problems from a defensive standpoint, was to basically hem in Scagliazzo and make the other players beat them. Now that's the requirement. So can they make that transition? That's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, and Aiden Johnson and Jonathan West will lead the running back corps for the Comets there. Now we'll pass on Berea Mid-Park until Coach John Hunick comes and talks to us. But looking at the Lakewood Rangers, they have Tom Tomey in his second year. They went 1-9, 1-8 last year. They're returning 15 starters, so they do have a little experience there. And we'll see what Milan Jackson can do. The running back had a great year last year. Albert Wilhelmy is another player at quarterback that's going to lead the Rangers. And they hope to just grow as a program and really be competitive. And, you got to get a new system in there, and we'll see what they can do. Now, Midview, the Middies, under head coach DJ Shaw in his 6th year, they went 2-8, 2-7. They do return 11 starters. Dominic Roman is going to be the running back there, and quarterback Zach Gill will lead the Middies, who will be young again here in 2019, but definitely building their team, and they'll have high expectations, as Midview always does, and hopefully have a little better of a season than 2-8. North Olmsted, they're led by Tim Bredinger. He's in his 7th year. They were 5-5, 4-5 last year, and they're coming back with 12 starters. So a lot of these teams coming back with, some starters coming back. So they do have some experience and new leadership, though, coming back. So we'll see what happens with the North Olmsted Eagles there. North Ridgeville and Luke Durbin, we'll get to them here shortly, as Coach Durbin actually walking through the door right now. So we'll get to talking with the North Ridgeville Rangers here shortly. Olmsted Falls, I covered them with Coach Pace a little bit. Tom DeLuca's the head coach. He's in his 7th season, 8-3, 7-2 last year. They do lose a lot of starters, as they only have 4 returning starters coming back. And listen to that interview on our website, sportsontappodcast.com. Where they do return Alex Wall, the linebacker and running back, Keegan Skozen, a cornerback and running back, and Tyler Champart, who's going to be a defensive end and offensive tackle. He's going to have an important role there for the Bulldogs. Now for Westlake, they have a new coach, and we talked to him as he got hired, Dan LaRocca, in his first season. They went 1-9, 1-8 overall. They returned 6 starters, and they're going to be interesting to watch. They're going to also be, a young team, but they have a lot of change. But they look to go with 6'5" Joe Klessel and 3-year starter Dylan Bednar. They need their leadership to really take the Westlake Demons, and be competitive in the Southwestern Conference.
Yep.
So those are a few of the teams in the Southwestern Conference going over what it looks like a little bit. You won't know really this. We'll know more on the season who's gonna start, but we'll try to get through. A little bit of the Suburban League.
Yeah,
here.
we're just going to hit out the Suburban League. It's our biggest conference, and what I did as I was doing my preview, as I mentioned in the opening, was talk about trends. And in both divisions, both national and American, you see a lot of turnover right now. And by that I mean a lot, like Rob was talking about, there's a lot of new leadership, new players that are coming in that have to fill big roles, like we talked about with Kennedy Scagliazzo. One of the big headlines for me is Highland. Highland last year was a very good team. They missed the playoffs, but they were led by the human highlight reel, Jake Rogers. He's not there anymore. Taking over at quarterback.
He's at Bowling Green.
He's at Bowling Green. Yes, he is. Taking over at quarterback was all-Ohio receiver last year, Bryce Profit. He's now the quarterback for the Highland Hornets, and they have a younger offense. But, again, I think we're going to hopefully see how that team reacts to not having Jake Rogers, particularly on the special teams where he was so fantastic. Also in the American division, as that's kind of was my main area of focus. Aurora looking to bounce back. They missed the playoffs for the first time in 13 years last year, so they're looking to rebound as well. And a big story coming out of Barberton last year's all really, really impressive running back Kyrie Thompson no longer there, transferred to Bucktown. So now they have quarterback Chase Haywood leading a very talented receiving core, and they have Valdez. They have a couple of other players there. But again, we commented when we watched that game last year, was Kyrie Thompson was really impressive as a sophomore. He's at Bucktown now, so he's no longer there to help the Magics. But again, I look for the Magics to be kind of the top team in that division. Revere's had kind of a weird season. Weird off season. They lost their coach and they came back, and they've had a lot of stuff going up. So it'll be interesting to watch, see how the American division shakes out. As far as the national division, a couple things I made note of is the huge senior class that Wadsworth has. I mean, year in, year out, Wadsworth is always right up there with Stowe, with even my favorite team, the Brecksville Bees. I just wanted to say it. That's going to be tough because I'm going to have to lead myself into that every week, and we're going to have to find a way to do that. But yeah, they just have a big senior class, and they have a great offensive line. So they're going to be a powerhouse in that national division I look for. Also, Joey Marusic from North Royalton. This guy's a senior, and he passed for 2,422 yards last year. He had 29 touchdowns and 9 rushing touchdowns. This guy is the leader for North Royalton, and they play our team the team that we're going to be interviewing the head coach of next week in Week 1. So we'll ask him how you prep for a guy like that, because he's very, very effective in the passing game. Finally, what I wanted to point out was Twinsburg. Twinsburg's an interesting case because last year they were bitten hard by the injury bug, and a lot of sophomores got some really good experience, and those sophomores are now juniors. So now they have a pretty good senior class, but also a swell of a junior class that could really help them take that step into the top-tier teams. Now, again, I'm glossing over some major teams in the Suburban League. Guys, I know it's not that I don't love you. It's just, unfortunately, there's 13 teams and 78 people on each team, so it's tough to cover. But let me tell you this right now. I look for both of these divisions to be very, very, very competitive this year. I think there's going to be a lot of surprises, and my big surprise, again, is going to be, I think Revere may be in a interesting way right now in the American division, because really it's just Barberton. Aurora hasn't really shown me too much. Kent Roosevelt's there. Talmadge was there last year. Highland's having to recover from Jake Rogers. So it's going to be interesting to see how that American division shakes out, because it's been really Aurora and Barberton the last couple of years, and Highland's kind of sticking around. But I'll be interested to see if Revere can make that next step. They got a couple really nice players. They got a really, really good, solid core group of seniors. I think they're going to be a really good team in the Suburban American Division. And, again, I think the Wadsworth Grizzlies are the team to beat in the National Division.
Well, moving on, fourth and
wow, nice work.
Final and fourth conference that we're going to be adding actually this year to our coverage on Sports on Tap. We're proud to announce that we'll be covering the Great Lakes Conference coming up.
And we'll be able to provide, guys, guess what? The Buckeye recaps in that one.
Exactly.
Did you already do that, by the way?
I'm going to keep doing it to remind you. You're getting elderly.
Right.
Yeah,
that's how we do that.
That's primarily one of the main reasons why we decided to bring on the Great Lakes Conference is the fact that Buckeye is actually joining the conference, leaving the Patriot Athletic Conference, moving over. Buckeye went 10-2 last year. Also joining them this year in the Great Lakes Conference is Fairview Park. The Warriors last year finished 4-6. They're moving on into the new conference. But the original members of the conference, we're going to start with co-champion Elyria Catholic, finished 9-3 overall, 5-1 in the conference. They look to continue their winning ways, led by their massive offensive lineman Branson Taylor, 6'7", 305-pounder. He's definitely an anchor and a wall and whatever other adjective you want to describe a very large person.
Does he play right guard?
Yeah,
because the Browns could use a right guard or tackle.
Another team in the conference that looks to build on a successful 2018 campaign is the Bay Rockets. Last year finishing 8-3, 5-1. They also advanced in the Division III playoffs, falling in the first round ever to Sandusky. But they look to continue their winning ways. Now we get into a little bit of the Parma schools. We have Valley Forge, Normandy, Parma Heights, and the Parma Redmen. All are in the GLC. Parma Normandy looking to have more successful years than they did last year. Rocky River, Valley Forge looking to build on what they did. Rocky River finished last year at 7-5. Valley Forge 6-5.
What a year for them. Valley Forge really surprised some people, I think, by getting 6-5, 4-2, and making it into the playoffs.
Exactly. And as we mentioned earlier, the newbies, Buckeye and Fairview Park, which it's going to be nice to see. Ed's going to be covering the GLC for us. And you got some backyard rivalries. Rocky River, Fairview Park now. I can see that joining. We're all interested to see how Buckeye does from really running roughshod in the Patriot Athletic Conference, making the playoffs 4 years in a row, I believe. And then this year coming into a different conference where it's all new, some stiffer competition, to be honest. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do.
It's a step up in competition for sure for Buckeye. And I think that team was poised for the last couple of years with a few years with what Pinzoni built there, and now that coaching staff that took over. So I think they were chomping at the bit last year to step up in class, and it's going to be interesting to see how they respond to that, because now they're truly in a conference that's got some players. The Bay and Fairview and Elyria Catholic and all those teams are there, and they're used to winning. So it's not, this is definitely going to be, I think, a challenge for Buckeye.
It's going to be a fun conference adding Buckeye and Fairview. There's no doubt.
Absolutely.
That's going to be a great conference to cover, and we look forward to that. But right now, we'll step away. We'll take a short break. Oh, I love that music coming back. But when we come back, head coach of the North Ridgeville Rangers, Luke Durbin, will join us here shortly as he enjoys his chocolate milkshake here live from Z's Cream and Bean. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Why do you exercise? To look better? To feel better? To drop a few pounds? To train for an event? To defy age? Or to keep your ability to say yes to the things you love to do? Whatever motivates you, G&G Fitness Equipment is here to get you there. Treadmills, ellipticals, rowers, bikes, home gyms, and accessories. We'll pair you with the right equipment, teach you how to use it, and be there every step of your fitness journey. G&G Fitness. Your goal is our goal.
Listen to our shows live on Mixer or join us the first Monday of every month at Z's Cream and Bean, located at 2706 Boston Road in Hinckley. Want to listen to past shows? Go to our YouTube page or website, www.sportsontappodcast.com.
SportsOnTapPodcast.com, the place to go where you can listen to past shows, read featured articles, check out all of our social media updates, plus much, much more. SportsOnTapPodcast.com, the official website of Sports on Tap. No matter the season, it's always the right time for Z's Cream of Bean. Whether you want to warm up with some of their delicious soups, chilies, or coffees, or sample from their delicious selection of ice cream, shakes, and other cool treats, Z's Cream of Bean has you covered. Visit them at 2706 Boston Road in Hinckley, Ohio, and tell them the guys at Sports on Tap sent you.
RRT Productions, specializing in creating sports recruiting videos for all high school athletes. Want to play at the next level? Promote your talents with a video to send colleges. Affordable, experienced, and a high-quality video. Make us your local video production company. Visit our website, rrt-productions.com, and contact us today. RRT Productions, we shoot, we edit, you win.
For up-to-the-minute info on local high school sports action, including photos, videos, and live updates, be sure to follow Sports on Tap on Twitter, Instagram, and like us on Facebook.
Okay, you want to support a great local store that supports Cleveland and Ohio sports. GV Artwork and Design has the best stylish sports apparel, whether it's Cleveland sports, college gear. I've seen high school gear, your favorite sports teams, not just Cleveland. They have it all. Now, a special offer for Sports on Tap listeners. Use the code ONTAP10 and receive 10% off your full order. Go to gvartwork.com. That's gvartwork.com. GV Art and Design, original and one of a kind. All right, and welcome back to Sports on Tap. We're live from Z's Cream and Bean in Hinckley, Ohio, 2706 Boston Road. And good crowd here on hand tonight. As it's raining outside, but inside we're staying dry. And we're talking a little high school football as we previewed some of our conference in the Suburban League, the Southwestern Conference, the Greater Cleveland Conference, the new Great Lakes Conference, and now joining us is head coach of the North Ridgeville Rangers, Luke Durbin. And, Coach, thanks for taking time to join us here tonight.
Sure, it's always good to be here. Would like to correct you. This is a chocolate peanut butter milkshake.
Oh, I didn't see the peanut butter.
It's delicious.
Come on.
I missed the peanut butter. I couldn't see it on it. It looked delicious, though. That's my favorite is a chocolate milkshake every time I'm here.
Yeah, it's you got to get something when you're here. It's a great place.
You're in your 6th year at North Ridgeville, and you know, last year was 4-6, 4-5. You had a lot of, I thought, some close games that could have went either way. Talk about the transition maybe from your first few years to now.
Well, you know, we've had a little bit of everything. We've had obviously some great skill. You know, I was fortunate enough to be able to coach Mario McCall for 2 years, and albeit my best year there at North Ridgeville was his senior year, and he didn't even play in over half the games because he was injured. Yeah. So we've kind of been up and down recently, you know, hopefully picking on an upward trend. We won 3 out of our last 4 games, and, you know, rolling it into this year, we got to get started on the right foot. You know, this would be, I'm sure we're going to get into North Royalton, but it's our 4th time playing them, and their quarterback is now a senior. He started when he was a freshman, and he's 3-0 against us. So, you know, for us, it's all about getting off on the right foot, not looking past them to Midview, which is typically a big rivalry game, week 2. but starting off on the right foot and taking that first step.
Yeah, you mentioned the Midview game, and last year I remember that was a big deal around town because both Rob and I live in North Ridgeville, and you guys hadn't beat Midview in 8 years, something like that.
Something like that. 8 years.
And you guys, I think you guys beat them at Midview, right? Or was it?
We beat them
you were at home. You were at home.
Yep.
Okay.
So that was a crazy game, if I remember right, too.
It was crazy. We were down and hit a touchdown pass and got a stop and. Had a sophomore kicker who had just missed a field goal.
Yeah.
Came back and hit a field goal.
Talk about confidence.
Of course, Midview, the team they went right down the field and had a chance to kick about a 40-yarder for the game winner and rolled the snap back and tried to scramble, and we tackled them. And, it's one of those situations where everybody just stormed the field, and it was a great experience. It was great for our kids. They worked their butts off for it. They passed back and forth the trophy for that game. And it had been so long that only one guy on staff knew that there was even a trophy for the game. I didn't even know. We all
just showed up in your office one day like, what is this?
We knew it then, but for a while we didn't know just because that's the way. They had a great run of talent, and they're really well coached. But we pulled it off this year, and now the goal is to keep that trophy. We want to start a little streak of our own.
Yeah.
Now, do you treat that trophy like the Stanley Cup? Does every player, get to take it with them to class?
I guess what Rob's asking was it in a pool on a raft at some point this summer? Where is there pictures being taken?
No, not at all. I'm pretty sure some people kissed it.
Yeah.
But no one took it home. It wasn't on anybody's pillow.
Well, maybe coach's pillow, but that's a whole different story.
Yeah, we won't get into that.
Now, obviously, we're coming into this year. Talk a little bit about some of the players that you're looking to rely on this year, both offensively and defensively, going through the season. What are some of the guys we should be on the lookout for?
Well, we got a couple 3-year starters. So first is Tyler Richmond. He's be a 3-year starter at linebacker. He's undersized to play linebacker, but in this day and age, he's perfect. He flies around the field. He's athletic. He can cover. He's tough enough to take on linemen or athletic enough to kind of olay him and fall back in and make a play. But he's repped in some quarterback, and he's also probably our best receiver. So move him around offensively, and 3-year starter, very good defensively. Another 3-year starter is Patrick Castleberry, who actually started for 2 years on the defensive line. Well, he's now going to play our quick tackle, our most important offensive line position. And I don't know. I think his playing time defensively will be down a little bit, but part of that is because he's playing our most vital position on the offensive line.
Yeah.
And it's a big sacrifice for someone to make. He thought he was a defensive football player, and we basically told him, no, you're our best. You're going to be our best offensive lineman. Come over and be it. We do return 2 other offensive linemen, and John Lively and my center, Dustin McElhaney. Both those kids, Dustin's a heavyweight wrestler. John's 6'5", 320. And has really gotten a lot better from last year. In the backfield, Shane Swindig.
I think that's the best name for a running back, Shane Swindig. I absolutely love that.
Well, better than Swin Small, but yeah.
He's if you're at the games, you're going to be saying it a lot. He's pretty special. I think the Perusik, the kid from Avon, is one of the top players in the conference, and I think Shane is right there with him. I think he's poised to have a breakout year.
Looking at your quarterback position, is that something Tyler Richmond is going to go play both sides of the ball?
Well, he's
quarterback and linebacker.
He'll play some quarterback.
Okay.
He's actually going to play quite a bit of wide receiver. So we do have Caden Masterson, who's a junior, a great kid, very smart, a 4.0 student. He'll be seeing probably more time at quarterback, especially early in the year. And he also starts defensively too. So they're some of our best athletes. Are both.
Yeah, you play both ways.
A little bigger and put together, and I think they can handle that.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at Tyler, I mean, he was a heck of a wide receiver for you guys last year.
Yeah.
He made a lot of big plays. So anytime you can have a player like that play defense and offense, they must be in pretty good shape. How's your off-season program's been for these kids?
Oh, it's good. We've done a couple of things in North Ridgeville. One is they've allowed us to implement a weight training class in the high school.
Oh, nice.
So we've got a weightlifting class that majority of athletes are in it. Not everybody, but some people's schedules just don't work out that way. but majority of kids are in that, so that allows us to focus a little bit more pro agility, change of direction, explosiveness training in the off season. And then over the summer, we've got a pretty good rotation. We come in for about 2 hours, and we do a weightlifting. Then we do some type of torture station, usually with heavy sandbags and a lot of things that they hate. And then we do like a sprint station.
Okay.
And we work them hard all summer and had great attendance at that. And I think that's just rolled into 2-a-days, and hopefully we're ready to roll.
I was going to ask you how the players responded at being able to work out, because I know when I was in high school, a lot of times it was a lot of talking sessions. Players are talking, and instead of working out. Now it's a little bit different, though. How valuable was it, though, for them to be able to work out and come together as a team in those?
You're talking about it during the class
or during the weightlifting and being able to work out and have those
it's just a mindset of not being satisfied with where we've been. And wanting to get back to having that winning record, which we've had before, wanting to get back to there, you got to do something different.
Yeah.
And they've really kind of bought into that and worked their butts off. And they don't take anything for granted. We got kids right now that like to work out, which is good.
Yeah.
One question I like asking Coach, especially at the beginning of the year, one question, but I probably will have more. Don't do that to me, Josh. Is, there's a lot of focus on player safety, especially nowadays with the concussions and things like that. Is there an ever-growing process for you as a coach, the learning on that side of it that maybe you didn't when you got into coaching? I guess the question is the evolution of that science, so to speak, the concussion science and the health and the player safety standpoint. Is that a constant thing for you and your staff that you guys have to kind of relearn every year going into a season?
Well, not really relearn. It's more pay attention to what's going on out there.
Mm-hmm.
The big learning process really was when the Seahawks came out with their rugby-style tackling.
Right.
And, that really changed the game at every level. You got them doing it. You got Ohio State doing it. You got high school football programs doing it. They really kind of set the standard for trying to take the head out of the game. I remember as a fan watching football and being all ticked off at NFL calls for hitting wide receivers going across the middle.
Yeah.
But, it makes a lot of sense. We talk a lot about strike zone.
Mm-hmm.
If you throw a fastball that is head level high, it's a ball.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can – it's a ball.
Yeah.
You're not going to call it a strike.
Right.
So in order to throw a pitch and not walk somebody, you're going to have to throw it across the strike zone. Well, we talk about the same thing when we're hitting kids now. It's talking about your pad level and, not making contact with the head and not hitting the opponent's head, hitting them in the strike zone. And that was a big – once I kind of grasped that, a lot of it made sense. It's still a tough and physical game. There's still going to be big hits. What we're doing is taking away some of those, stupid collisions.
Yeah.
You can watch an old film of, Night Train Lane clotheslining dudes. That's just not healthy.
Yeah.
So I think the game is played smarter. It's played way safer. The thing that we have to continue to always keep up on is you never know when it's like there's a new law that if the referees remove somebody that they think is suspected of a concussion, they are not allowed to come back in, even if the trainer clears them. And that's so I'd be like against the law,
right,
for me to put them back out there. I'm kind of laughing, but
they're putting medical. They're saying the referee has the final medical decision on that.
Yeah, well, and you can understand why you don't want to. You could have a situation where someone's maybe pressuring a trainer,
right.
or
good point.
Leaving a kid out there in a critical moment, and I understand it, but now it's a law.
Yeah.
So I could be breaking the law
now
if you're not aware of that.
Yeah.
You don't follow through, and the other thing is just setting up a good communication system. So if a ref sends that off, making sure that myself and the trainer's aware, and that we do the right things. It's best for the kid.
Talk a little bit about your schedule now. You start off with North Royalton. Last year, that was a pretty fun game to watch. It went back and forth. The quarterback there, Joey Moresic, is a heck of a quarterback going to Akron
he's outstanding.
now. When you look at North Royalton, I'm sure you've watched some film already. What do you see when you look at North Royalton in your first game?
Well, first thing is I see a quarterback that can make all the throws, and he can get them out of bad plays by just threading the needle or using athleticism and extending a play, and then throwing the ball 50 yards downfield that, someone gets away from somebody in a scramble drill. So he's the guy that really makes them go and makes them so hard to defend. The tailback's back, and he's a good athlete and a hard runner, and they got 2 of their wide receivers back from that started against us last year. So, they scored 42 points on us last year, and we're going to have to do a lot better. It's going to be difficult because they're explosive and they're led by that great QB. But part of it is limiting them and, being more efficient offensively. The first 2 possessions last year, we drove down the field and had a holding call and then turned the ball over on downs, and then drove down the field and had another holding call and then threw an interception. So if we score on those 2 drives, who knows how the game turns out.
Yeah.
So you got to be a little more efficient. But after that, like I said, we go into Midview, which is a rivalry game, and then the schedule kind of shifted. We got North Olmsted early, which would be a little different. But it's one of those situations where we play well week 1 and come away with a win, then you got a lot of positive momentum going into that rivalry game, and you can get win number 2. And you get win number 2, you got a lot of positive momentum going against North Olmsted that they've kind of been up and down recently as well.
Yeah.
We've had great success against, and hopefully we get number 3. And next thing you know, now we're on a winning streak and feeling good and playing well.
Yeah, I think it's important to get that confidence up, especially at the start of the season.
Yeah, because we talk about that Southwestern Conference, and it's a meat grinder of a schedule. Any way you put it, there's no let up, and not to say that there's let up for any other team, but it just seems like you get one opportunity for non-conference, and then it's conference play.
Right into
into it, and you don't let up until the end of the season. And I just, you got, and you're right. Getting off to a good start is critical, I think, for any team. The problem is that if every team wins their opening game, then everyone's undefeated. Then all of a sudden it kind of shakes out by week 5 what's going on because you guys are just killing each other. And do you see, do you find it hard as a coach to look at the schedule and say, man, it really is just Midview, then North Olmsted, then you turn around and you play Avon Lake, and then Avon, then just the caliber of teams in this division really does put you through a meat grinder, even getting into a playoff position.
Especially if you're not playing well.
Right.
Just trying to find where can we get a win, where can we get that the ship righted. That we've kind of gone through that in the past, and that's something we don't want to go through again this year.
Yeah.
The league is so well coached, up and down the league. We've got great head coaches. There's all kinds of skill. You look at the the Alden Lakes district. It was all seniors from the SWC and then the junior quarterback from North Royalton.
Yeah.
That's what made the skill positions the entire All Lakes team.
True.
Look it up.
Yeah.
So it will be different because all those guys that I just mentioned that were on the All Lakes team, they're all gone. With the exception of Avon's running back and Shane Swindig, my running back, I think all the other skill kids in the league graduated.
Yeah.
So it's really, in my opinion, more open than it ever has been. Avon's got the stud running back, but they're going to have a new quarterback. Avon Lake, a lot of their skill guys are gone. We'll see what they have. Olmsted Falls, a lot of their skill guys are gone. We'll see what they have. The stud running back from Amherst, he's gone. What can they do now? North Olmsted, that had that Andrews kid that I think went to Toledo, he's graduated. So it was kind of a reset for a league.
Yeah.
And I think it's, kind of up in the air. Obviously you got to beat Avon. They've been the team to beat, and they will be for the foreseeable future. But I think you've got a lot more teams vying for that championship.
Now, what's one thing, before we let you leave here, what's one thing you're looking forward to this season? Are you looking forward to obviously not one game, but are you looking forward to seeing how your players, react to the first game? They've been hitting each other this whole offseason. I'm sure it's going to be – well, they've had scrimmages, but are you looking forward to see how they're going to react in that first game, to under the lights on Friday nights? There's really nothing like it.
Well, one of the things that I'm looking forward to seeing is how they react with a little adversity.
Yeah.
That's one of the hardest things to teach young kids is to not point the finger, to not blame, to not complain.
Yeah.
To take ownership, to be positive. And in our scrimmage against Solon, we were down 14-0, and we were through two series we were 3-and-out, and they had scored twice, and we could have ended up letting them score 50.5.
Yeah.
And instead, we fought right back, got a first down, changed the field, got a 3-and-out, and then hit a touchdown pass. And you could tell it was just a different ball game. We responded. And a lot of times in the past, you give up a touchdown, the kids hang their heads coming off the field. You know? Can they jog off and be positive and be ready to put that behind them and play the next play? And I think when you get a team that can do that, you got a chance to win a lot of football games.
Yeah, well, we'll look forward to watching you guys this year. I'm sure we'll be out covering a North Ridgeville game at some point
I believe
this
it's on
year.
our schedule this year.
That's right. We can't distinguish which one it is. Our games of the week go week to week, right? It's a special, but
given the proximity that you and I live to the stadium, I love that idea.
Plus the press box, man, it's one of the best.
I want to get in that press box.
The new stadium is great. You're getting a great fan support, and good luck this season. We appreciate you coming on tonight.
Sure,
thanks,
no
Coach.
problem. I appreciate being here.
That's head coach of the North Ridgeville Rangers, Luke Durbin, joining us here on Sports on Tap. What we're going to do is step away. We'll take a short break. And when we come back, head coach of the Berea Mid-Park Titans, John Hunick, will join us here on Sports on Tap. So don't go anywhere. We're coming right back.
Why do you exercise? To look better? To feel better? To drop a few pounds? To train for an event? To defy age? Or to keep your ability to say yes to the things you love to do? Whatever motivates you, G&G Fitness Equipment is here to get you there. Treadmills, ellipticals, rowers, bikes, home gyms, and accessories. We'll pair you with the right equipment, teach you how to use it, and be there every step of your fitness journey. G&G Fitness. Your goal is our goal.
Listen to our shows live on Mixer or join us the first Monday of every month at Z's Cream and Bean, located at 2706 Boston Road in Hinckley. Want to listen to past shows? Go to our YouTube page or website, www.sportsontappodcast.com.
SportsOnTapPodcast.com, the place to go where you can listen to past shows, read featured articles, check out all of our social media updates, plus much, much more. SportsOnTapPodcast.com, the official website of Sports on Tap. No matter the season, it's always the right time for Z's Cream of Bean. Whether you want to warm up with some of their delicious soups, chilies, or coffees, or sample from their delicious selection of ice cream, shakes, and other cool treats, Z's Cream of Bean has you covered. Visit them at 2706 Boston Road in Hinckley, Ohio, and tell them the guys at Sports on Tap sent you.
RRT Productions, specializing in creating sports recruiting videos for all high school athletes. Want to play at the next level? Promote your talents with a video to send colleges. Affordable, experienced, and a high-quality video. Make us your local video production company. Visit our website, rrt-productions.com, and contact us today. RRT Productions, we shoot, we edit, you win.
For up-to-the-minute info on local high school sports action, including photos, videos, and live updates, be sure to follow Sports on Tap on Twitter, Instagram, and like us on Facebook.
Okay, you want to support a great local store that supports Cleveland and Ohio sports. GV Artwork and Design has the best stylish sports apparel, whether it's Cleveland sports, college gear. I've seen high school gear, your favorite sports teams, not just Cleveland. They have it all. Now, a special offer for Sports on Tap listeners. Use the code ONTAP10 and receive 10% off your full order. Go to gvartwork.com. That's gvartwork.com. GV Art and Design, original and one of a kind. Okay, you want to support a great local store that supports Cleveland and Ohio sports. GV Artwork and Design has the best stylish sports apparel. Welcome back to Sports on Tap. We're live from Z's Cream and Bean here in Hinckley, Ohio. It's our Ohio High School football coverage. It's our preview show where we went through the suburban leagues. We also went through the Southwestern Conference, the Greater Cleveland Conference, and now the Great Lakes Conference, which Buckeye just joined this year. Boy, that's going to be a fun conference. You know, you get the Rocky River, you get Bay. They're there every year. Buckeyes there every year.
It kind of covers. It takes our western areas of Northeast Ohio. We finally got that taken care of. Southwestern, South, and East with the GCC, Greater Cleveland Conference GCC, and you know we have the Suburban League, which is Southeast. So we've got you all covered here. This year, 2019 high school football. And while you're on Twitter, if you're following us, you know, we're going to really use that hashtag SOT HSF as we do a lot. So if you're talking high school football, responding, please use that hashtag. We'll certainly appreciate that. And spread the word about Sports on Tap. We'll be out at your games and everything like that, so on and so forth.
Yeah, you know, it's going to be a fun season. It always is. And remember our games of the week as well, because, you know, when we do our games of the week, we'll tell them it's usually every Monday night, but on this Monday it's Labor Day, so we won't be able to do a show on Monday of that Labor Day. It'll be Tuesday, and we'll go through, you know, all the game recaps covering the Southwestern Conference and all of our leagues and divisions as Coach John Hunick just walked in, and you know, some players coming in, so we'll get him mic'd up here shortly. But
so is it okay though if I just show up at your house on Monday night with a microphone in my hand, Josh? Is that how that works?
As long as it's a microphone.
I mean,
sure, whatever you want.
Is that a firm just a microphone?
Yeah, I mean, if we're not,
I mean, just I'm asking for a friend.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Yeah, hang out.
We're not going to do a show until Tuesday, so
That's fine.
I sleep well in a mulch bed. So
okay, sounds
he does
good.
snore. Does snore sometimes.
That's why he's outside.
You won't care. He's put me in a mulch bed, bro.
Probably sleeps better there. You can come on whenever you want, Coach.
Yeah, this is a free form.
Yeah, they could come on too. Come on. And
we have a strict no
now.
goofball policy, though, so sorry.
How you doing, Coach? Welcome. Welcome to Z's, guys.
Am I good now?
There we go. We're good.
Now
Yeah,
you're
on.
There we go.
Head coach of the Berea Mid-Park Titans,
These guys
John
are fighting
Hunick,
over
joining us.
2 seats.
Thanks for having me. It's
Hey,
always a
welcome
pleasure,
back.
man.
Friend of the show.
Well,
I like
friend
that.
of the show.
Is that
I
a new
like it.
polo you're wearing?
No, it's kind of a
joining us?
throwback. Got a lot of compliments today, though, so
Wow.
I'm feeling pretty good.
Throwback to what? 2017?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
There you go.
Thanks for putting me on blast for that.
That's all right. Hey, welcome back.
Welcome back. And
Well, I mean, the team's only been a team
wait.
for what? How long?
It's the seventh year.
Okay.
Yep, the seventh year.
it's been a little while.
Yeah.
Pass the mic, and guys, if you just introduce yourselves to our listeners out there.
Yeah, my name is Jerry Brzezinski from Berea, Ohio.
He's an offensive
John
line.
Lyons,
What position? Say your positions, too, if you can.
slot wide receiver and safety.
Okay.
Cameron Siggers, defense end.
All right. Well, welcome, guys.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Real talkative young men I brought with me today. I'm really excited to hear what they have to say.
Oh, we'll get them warmed up. It's
All right.
easy going. It's
All
fun,
right, it
you
is.
know.
You get a milkshake.
But,
after
you know, you guys were 5-5 last
Yep.
year, 5-4. You guys have 9 returning starters.
Yep.
You know, talk a little bit about how it's been going in some of the scrimmages, you know, you guys have.
Well, it's been going really
at.
well. You know, we kind of revamped what we do defensively. And so I think scrimmages really show that we're really excited about where it's headed with that. You know, we feel really, really good about where we are at defensively. And then also it was exciting to see how much our younger players that are going to be stepping up into key roles for us, that how nice of a job they've done and how much they've grown in the short time that they've been in key positions.
Now, when you talk revamping defense,
Sure.
is it coaches? Is it just schemes?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. You know, so it's really a total retool in what we're doing.
Okay.
So not just from some coaches' perspectives. Matt Wilson will be coordinating our defense, who's a really great guy. He's been in the district for a while. He's been the head coach at Berea, actually, for a little while. And actually was defense coordinator at Strongsville before he came back to Berea Mid-Park. And I think he's really doing a phenomenal job. I'm way more involved defensively than I ever have been in my career, so that's really exciting for me, kind of coach on both sides of the ball. John doesn't like that as much because I get to coach him one-on-one at safety. But so there's that, and I think there's also a focus from our program and from our kids. You know, a lot of our top guys like Jared and John that played both sides of the ball. You know, Cameron was our defensive MVP last year, and we're expecting big things from him. But Jared and John, you know, were key contributors offensively for us last year. I mean, I've been really proud of the fact that they're buying in so much defensively and also really provide a lot for us on the defensive end as well. And that's been exciting to see, and it's really allowed us as a program to move forward, knowing that really the key goal is winning football games, not putting up big numbers on offense and not putting up stats on defense, but the key is working as one unit to win the football game. So,
you know, one thing that we noticed when we covered a bunch of your games is the speed on all factors of the ball, whether it be special teams, defense. I mean, there's a lot of speed out there on the field. Is it hard to harness? I guess the question really is there, from a coaching standpoint, do you almost want to sacrifice speed for sound, you know, decision making on the defense?
I think you can do both, to be honest with you. You know, if you practice fast and that's what you're used to doing, and you have players that can play at that level, you know, I think it's an advantage. You can't waste that advantage, right? So I think the key is keeping it simple enough that our players really understand what they're doing and the nuances of what they're doing, and can really harness the details and really focus on the details. I think is really a key part of what we do in our program. But I think also, you know, cutting them loose, letting them play ball is a big factor as well. And, of course, you want to make it complex enough that it's not like, you know, you're just rolling in there and it looks like a fifth-grade offense. You know, we try to make it a little more complex than that.
Although I've been to a couple fifth-grade games, and they're pretty entertaining.
That's right.
At one point, there's like 3 balls on the field and no one knows what's going on. So
that's good stuff.
That's good stuff. It's not much fun, but it's fun enough. You know, why don't you talk about, you mentioned earlier that you're going to be relying on some younger players outside of the gentlemen that are here. Yeah. Is there anyone that we should be on the lookout for going through the year that maybe is on the rise on your team that's going to be somebody that we can point to and say?
Yeah, I think we have some, you know, players that'll be juniors that contributed for us, a lot of sophomores that'll end up starting for us on defense. You know, really I think the core of our defense is going to be our defensive line. I mean, I think we have some kids that are really going to jump on the scene. I mean, Cameron being at the forefront of that. But also, you know, Danny Yu, that was a sophomore starter for us last year at 3 technique. He's going to return. I think he's really making big strides. Connor Reynolds and Jimmy Paletta, who played linebacker for us, who got time for us last year, are going to be key contributors for us. Mason Decker at safety. I mean, those are guys that are younger, but have had time last year. I mean, we also have a group of sophomores, to-be sophomores, that are really, I think, going to be big names for us in the future, that we really are really pleased with the jumps that they've made already, you know, and including our quarterback, Luke Devins, who I think will be exceptional. We have a couple of receivers that play defensive back as well. D'Angelo Borders, who's a sophomore, Devin Johnson, who's a sophomore, and Jack Arnold, who's a sophomore, that'll contribute on the offensive and the defensive sides of the football for us. So some really good players there that I think are well ahead of the curve for being sophomores. You know, the nice thing is that group has been with me as 7th graders since I've been there. Okay. So they offensively at least have been running the same offense for the last 3 years, and that's what we do in our program. So that's allowed them to kind of step in and be right away ready to go. At the same time, I think what we're doing on defense is simple enough that our young men are able to master it quickly, but complex enough that, you know, and we're not easy to game plan against. Right. I think that's allowed kids to step in and do a nice job right away. Along with the leadership of the men that are in front of me. I mean, the key factor, I think, of our program that's been really nice is that we got great senior leadership, but I think ones that really care at the end of the day about winning over everything else and are willing to accept and bring along anybody that can contribute quickly. For them, it doesn't matter if you're a sophomore, junior, or senior. It matters if you can play ball, right, and if you can help us win.
Let's get the guys in here first. Jared, talk a little bit, and this is a question for all you guys. Talk about leading the team this year. You guys are obviously, they need your leadership role this year, you know, to take the offensive line, the defense together. Talk a little bit about how you've been a leader so far this season.
Yeah, so coming into the season, it's going to be a 30-game varsity starter. I think a lot of kids really look up to me, and they see that I've been through the tolls, been through the bushes and all that type of stuff. And just listening to what I have to say and to what coaches have to say, I think they're really buying into that this year. Compared to the couple other years, we don't have selfish football players on this team this year. Not saying that we had a bunch in the last couple years, but we really buy into this team aspect and this team and a unit and a program. And I think that with all of that going on around us, we're going to be really successful as a team, not only up front as a unit, as a brotherhood, but as an all-around team on offense, defense, special teams, doesn't matter. We really bind into what we're coached and what we are taught every single day.
Yeah, and you guys have to be in great shape, too, because you guys, like we talked about, you guys are fast and you move quick on both sides of the ball. John, talk about, what you've done so far leadership-wise and also, on the defensive side of things, what you enjoy most looking forward to this season.
Basically, like, what I've done is during the off season, I texted a bunch of, like, the sophomores that he just talked about coming up, and I was like, we need to get to work. And so basically we spent, like, all off season doing, like, tennis ball drills and the wrestling mats and everything like that, and just going over concepts so they understand everything. Like, and not just, like, going out there and, like, running routes just to run routes. Like, they understand why people are where and everything like that. And, like, me playing last year, like, I actually understood everything like that. Like, I know our whole entire offense. So, I mean, teaching them was mainly like,
I'm sure
mainly, like, the whole entire thing.
Yeah, and I'm sure it took some time, but they're starting to understand it.
Yeah, a lot of, like, they developed it, like, really quickly. Like, it was good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Now, Cameron, you on the defensive
jokester
side,
over here.
The anchor, he's laughing, having fun over there. That's what we like to see.
Give him just enough rope here. Give him just enough rope.
Talk a little bit about what you had to do to prepare for this season. Obviously, you're coming back from a successful season last year, anchoring that defense down. How do you continue your success on the defensive side of the ball?
Well, I put a lot more work in the off season, getting stronger, getting faster, and making it easier to read my assignments, like reading tackles. And I think that if I play faster, I'll disrupt the offense more. And I'd say from a leadership standpoint, I make sure everyone has fun, like joke around, so like everyone will stick together no matter what, because we all have like that family together, because we can joke around and be together no matter what.
And even through those tough times, you need somebody to crack that joke and keep it loose and light a little bit, because how many times do you see time in and time again, you can go through different emotions in a football game, whether it's up, whether it's down. You need somebody to crack the jokes, right?
That's why I'm
keep
here.
It loose. Yeah, exactly. That's what he does for our show.
I don't know anything about podcasting.
He came on.
I'm not even sure this thing's on.
It's not.
Oh, yeah. I knew it.
He's in control of the board, so a lot of times.
Every now and then I'll just start talking, and he'll pick me up when he thinks I'm doing something right.
If you guys have listened to our podcast, he's a Detroit Tigers fan, so sometimes.
I'm intelligent. We get it.
No, sometimes it just happens to get muted. We don't know how. But
anyway, question I always have for guys is, you look at the schedule. It comes out. You guys have the Southwestern Conference might as well be an NFL schedule, in my opinion. You guys have one non-conference game, and then it's just basically beating on each other for 9 straight weeks. Is there a game that you point to on the schedule, given the fact that what your schedule is, that you just that gets you a little amped up going into the season?
Yeah, Strongsville.
Strongsville?
We look at it game by game. We don't look past the games past Strongsville as of right now. We look at Strongsville as our only game right now, and we're game planning for them and only them as of right now. So we're ready.
So good ESPN answer. I'm looking to you. Who are you going on the schedule? Because
that's a great answer.
That was the 30 games at varsity answer.
That's what that was. That was. I don't want to run extra in practice, Coach. I just gave him the right answer.
I was going to say, Coach Hunick did a great job. That's a great answer. No. You don't have to answer that question.
I'm kidding.
He's like, wait, do you really want me to answer the same question?
He just goes in.
No, so
mid-view. I want him.
Yeah. So when you look at Strongsville, what's one thing you guys notice on the offensive side of the ball or the defensive that you might have to look out for? Prepping. It was always Johnny Major, I think, last year. a quarterback that can run, he can pass. He kind of did a little everything for Strongsville this year. What do you guys look out for against Strongsville?
From an offensive line standpoint, we look at their box and everything that they do up in there and see the pressures that they bring off the outside. They're not so much of a full force, put your hand in the ground type of group. They have both their ends stand up and want to keep the outside contained. We've been practicing and been working our ways through that. And up front, they're going to bring 5 to 6 guys every single time, if not 7. And as of right now, we're game planning and trying to figure out what we can do to best fix that. And as of right now, I think we got it. And we just got a little bit of that today, and we're going to hit it hard until Friday.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun season. Like you said, you get into Strongsville, and then it's Southwestern Conference. Coach, talk a little bit about some of the other players, that we can, go over offensively. I know wide receiver-wise, and you always seem to just find those wide receivers that can spread the field a little bit.
It's all coaching.
That have length.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, very little to do with them.
I'm totally kidding.
I put them in the right
spots. I'll tell you what, that's the exciting part of being at Berea Mid-Park right now is I think we have great talent up front and in the perimeter positions, and we've been lucky over the last few years to have that talent on the perimeter, but this is the year that I think our offensive line is really the best that it's been since I've been able to be the head coach there. I mean, we just have a great group. Jared obviously anchoring that line, but we have Josh Andrews, who's a returning starter for us, who's a collegiate football player. Cooper Roth, who returns at center. Hunter Bonham, who'll be a new face in the offensive line, but is an extremely hard worker and a grinder. And then Nick Somm, who will be a really good player as a senior. I mean, so to me, that's really going to be the core of what we do offensively. Is we have a great group up front. You have that brotherhood that Jared talked about, which is really cool. We have a great offensive line coach in Jim Bazinski, Jared's dad, who really does a nice job of building that, brotherhood within that unit, building that unit strength, and does a great job preparing them for every week. And if they play well, then it's easy for the perimeter guys to go. If you don't have that, it makes things a lot more difficult. But, it's nice having a returning starter in John that gets the system, that really does a great job of leading those kids. And like I said, you have a group with that Jack Arnold, D'Angelo, Borders, DJ Johnson, and Bo Bocci, who plays on the defensive line for us now, who's going to do a great job there, but also is playing the tight end position for us, that we have kids that can make things happen when they have the ball in space. I really bought into the fact that we pass as a team, and every route matters, regardless if you're getting the football or not. And it makes my life easy as a head coach and as a coordinator in the offense, and it's exciting to see. There's no doubt about that,
Yeah, I mean, the amount of points you guys continually put up, every year is always fun to watch. And how has the turnout been player-wise? Every year it seems like you get more and more players. Seeing the success that you've had, coming to Berea Mid-Park, have you gotten a lot more players coming out?
I think
from
the
different
interesting
areas?
thing this year that I think our players have really driven, which I think is good, is they have high expectations for themselves and for their teammates, and I think they're the type of guys, which is really cool to see as a head coach, where if you're not completely invested, you're not completely bought in, they don't really want any hangers-on anymore, guys that are just there just to kind of the perks to wear the jersey and to be a part of team meal and stuff like we've had in the past. We were joking when we were at the Browns facility because they were.
I think I saw that on your social media,
yeah,
right?
Thanks for checking that out.
Well, he's a big fan.
They're nice enough. They're nice enough too. It's a good follow. But
yeah, why don't you tell everybody your social
Throw
media?
it out there.
The Browns have been unbelievable to us with regards to donating helmets to our football program this year. They had our coaches in for coaching stuff. And so when we were there, we were joking about, that the NFL only plays with a 53-man roster, so we need to cut down that number to 53 from where we're at right now. And it's funny because that's about where we're at.
Yeah.
But it's due to the fact that I think, like I said, that these young men have high expectations for their teammates and for themselves. And if you're not all in with that, to borrow that phrase, not that we're saying we don't want you,
right?
But we want you to rise to that standard.
Yeah.
And that's really driven by them. And like Cameron said, I mean, you're talking about a young man who was just, getting into it football-wise last year and was completely committed in the offseason, and you're going to see a huge jump from that. Jared, and John are somebody that have always had that. And I think that's why, their teammates voted them as captains, and why people see them as leaders is because they're willing to put that work in, not just in the season when the lights are on and everybody sees you, but, to work in the dark when people don't see you. And I think that what makes it worthwhile for our guys. And I think that's what's going to really make our season exciting is, like Jared said, we have a great team. We have a great group of kids that care about each other and coaches that care about the kids, and it's really exciting to be a part of. And I think we're going to do our community proud. I think we're going to do our school proud, and I know it's really going to be driven by these young men I'm lucky to coach.
Well, guys, talk a little bit about, when you were at the Browns. What was that experience like, going into the facility, seeing that kind of facility and, where
Did you meet Baker?
The Browns hype.
I high-fived him.
Oh, man.
Nice.
He still hasn't washed his hand probably from that, right?
Knew it.
How was that experience, though, seeing the facility, the Browns, the hype of the Cleveland Browns?
High-fiver?
It's never been
Sorry,
better.
I'm way off the base. That's fine.
Pretty weak high five, right?
You got to protect the arm, though.
So what was that experience like, to go see the facility, to get the helmets? And, I mean, did you guys know beforehand that you were getting the helmets, or were you just going there kind of to see the facility and you thought it was something else?
Well, it was like a week before he told us that we were going. No, it was like 2 days before he told us that we were going to go to the Browns facility, but like a bunch of us already knew like we were going to get like a bunch of helmets because I guess the word slipped out or something like that.
Man, somebody leaked.
And then he told us we were going to go to the Browns facility and they're going to give us like a prize, and he didn't mention that we were going to get helmets. And so we went there and we watched their practice, and it was like exciting because like like they got all these new players and everything like that, and just watching them like excites you, everything like that for like your season. And when they came out with the helmets, like I was like, oh, yep, here it comes. And then all right, and they gave us the helmets, and everyone was like pretty excited and everything. It was like just got branded $25,000 worth of helmets and everything.
That's
like that.
crazy.
So, like,
awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, congratulations for winning that. And the Cleveland Browns, I mean, that's pretty special. I think North Ridgeville got helmets and stuff, at another time. So, they do it seems like every year. But that's pretty awesome. And that they called you out. I believe the players gave you guys the helmets, right?
Yeah.
Who gave you guys the helmets?
Jarvis Landry, Batonio, right?
Oh, man.
And I think it was special teams player. I'm not sure.
Now, did Jared try to wrestle Batonio? That's what I want to know. Did you try to take him on while you had the chance?
I lined up across Garrett. Big on big.
I mean, you might have been able to take him.
Best on best. Let's do this.
That would have been fun to see.
It'd have been a great thing for your coach's social media.
Yeah, now that your social media would have exploded.
Brand, man. Think brand.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want to see you get taken off the line?
How cool was that to meet Joe Batonio and some of those guys?
It was actually really cool, especially seeing them do their own offensive line stuff. It's a lot of the same stuff that we preach during our practices.
Yeah.
You see a lot of the stuff, and you see what we do and what they do, and kind of tie the two together. And you're like, oh, hey, we actually do that. And get to see those type of caliber players do that, especially in a practice atmosphere where they're not in the games. It's something very exciting, especially for me. While everybody else is watching Odell get one-handed catches and stuff, we're over there watching the big guys grind out on the pads and stuff. So that was very exciting for us.
I mean, it's such a cool experience, and I'm glad you guys had the chance to do it. I mean, the Browns' hype this year is crazy. Did watching them practice, does that want to push you guys to even get in the weight room and have a great season this year? I mean, does that push you seeing how hard they work?
Absolutely.
To go for it?
Because the goal at the end of the day for most football players is to be at that level. And like Coach said, it's only 53 guys. It doesn't matter about if you have an army behind you or just a couple guys. I mean, the amount of work that they put in to get to where they're at, you kind of sit back and look at, hey, maybe I should be doing this a little bit more instead of, hey, this is, a drill that I could probably slack off and where you should be, hey, I got to get in there, get better. Especially when we do when we're on a scout team and stuff like that, trying to push the guys in front of us to do better, because at the end of the day, it gets them better and gets them ready for Friday night.
Yeah, and Cameron, how was it for you? Did you crack any jokes? Did you make any of the players laugh while you were there?
The big thing I took away from it was seeing that they came from around how we did. Like, they were once young athletes that had to work hard to get to where they're at now. So it showed me, like, I can get to somewhere if I work hard enough and like stay on the game and be committed. So like
Yeah.
it shows that like there's reality to the future than just thinking about it.
Absolutely.
Did you guys
Good perspective.
Did you guys run into any coaches that had matched or exceeded the amount of energy as your head coach on the sidelines?
No.
Because I've watched him enough on the sidelines that he runs about 9 miles between the beginning and the end of the game. I literally, the first time we covered you guys, I thought there was a lunatic loose on the sideline. Turned out it was Coach Hunick. So I just didn't know if there was, I was very concerned at a certain point that they're just going to let this guy run her all over the field. But, there's a lot of energy, and it comes from Coach Hunick down there. Is it hard to keep that energy up during the game, especially when you're against that adversity? Do you find it you have to dig deeper, or is it just kind of always, around you guys?
Absolutely. I mean, when times get tough, it's always hard to try to find that good spot. But with Hunick being as energetic as he is, and kids like Cameron always having fun, kids like John being in the locker room with those type of guys, they really pick you up at the end of the day. And what we preach during practices, especially during two-a-days, is it's tough, it's hot, it's long. But with that energy, you could do anything. You got a packet to do at home, and you're trying to pull it off, and then the next day you're like, all right, I'm going to sit down and do this, and then you actually finish it. And it's a sense of accomplishment, I think, at the end of the day when you really look at it.
He's got great answers.
He does. I know, man. He's ready, man. Coach, you did a great job. We appreciate you guys all.
Thanks so much for having us.
Oh,
really nice.
It's always fun to talk to you guys. You guys, thanks for coming on. You guys were great.
Yeah.
That wasn't that hard, right?
Not terrible.
They're great boys. I'm lucky to coach them, that's for sure.
Well, it's going to be a fun season, and
Sure.
good luck the rest of the season. It's just starting, and
thank you.
Well, obviously, I'm sure there'll be a game in there. We'll be covering Berea Mid Park.
Let's go.
So we're excited as well.
And thanks again for having us.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate everything
No
you guys do
problem.
to cover high school sports.
That's head coach of the Berea Mid Park Titans, John Hunick, joining us here on Sports on Tap. Want to also thank Jared Pazinski for joining us, John Lyons for joining us, and Cameron Siggers also for joining us here on Sports on Tap. Josh, great job.
Thanks.
Controlling the audio
trying to
over
man
here.
the ship over here.
See, he was surprised. He didn't think I was going to throw him
No,
in.
that's all right. I'm ready for it, though. Mid-season form.
That's right. You have
I
to
wouldn't say mid-season for him, but
Whoa,
you're,
whoa.
I mean, you're coming out of 2
See,
days.
this is
You're
where the
doing well.
mute button usually comes in right there. See? It's an easy thing. It really is, guys. Well, hey, thanks to Sean Duffy for joining us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Maybe we'll see you next week.
Maybe. Guys, great job tonight. You can catch us on sportsontappodcast.com. We're at SOT Podcast on Twitter. We're on Facebook, Instagram. On YouTube, you could go back and listen to all of these archive shows after our live show here from Z's. And want to thank Z's especially for having us out here tonight. Again, our show will be next Tuesday, not Monday, Tuesday night at 7:30. We'll recap all of our conferences. For Josh Jeffy, Sean Duffy, Ed Dick, I'm Rob Troutman saying so long. Thanks for listening. We're Sports on Tap. Thanks for listening to Sports on Tap. Make sure you visit our website, www.sportsontappodcast.com. We would also like to thank our partners, Greater Cleveland High School Hockey League, home of the Barron Cup. Z's Cream and Bean, make life sweet, eat ice cream at Z's. RRT Productions, we shoot, we edit, you win, specializing in sports recruiting videos for all high school athletes. And GV Artwork and Design, original and one of a kind.